This is fun.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Evening Report on WNCL TV Channel 3. Dave Vandepas here with the headlines and the highlights of the news from across the United States and around the world.
Janet Townsend with a look at the weather.
And Kevin Robson with all the news in the world of sports.
At the top of the news this evening, the President is on a campaign for his environmental policies. It's been called a howdy-doody public relations tour by one environmentalist. It's
The sports world.
Thank you, Janet, and good evening, sports fans. Home runs by Gary Carter of the Montreal Expos and Jerry Murphy of the Atlanta Braves turned out to be a margin of victory for the National League last night in the 55th All-Star Game in San Francisco. When it was all over, the winds of Candlestick had died down, and the scoreboard showed National League 3, American League 1. The lone American League run came on a homer by Kansas City's George Brett in the second inning on a pitch thrown by starting pitcher Leah of Montreal. The National League pitchers were hot last night. Fernando Venezuela of Dwight Gooden set All-Star Game record by striking out 6 straight American League batters. Fernando mowed down Winfield, Jackson, and Brett in the 4th inning. Gooden, the 19-year-old flamethrower from New York Mets, got Parrish, Lemon, and Al Davis. There were a total of 21 strikeouts recorded in the record books, breaking by 1 the old mark for 9-inning All-Star Game set back in 1968. The American League pitchers had 11 strikeouts and the National League 10. Gary Carter picked up his second MVP award. The record looks like this. The National League has now won 13 of the last 15 games, giving them a total of 35 wins to the American League 19 victories. In other news in the sports world, by a margin of 66-44, athletic directors of Division 1A football player member schools have turned down the NCAA's proposal for televising college football this fall. That means that the 32-year-old hold by the NCAA is history. The decision paves the way for an alternative plans by other groups, most notably the College Football Association. Most of its 63 members voted against the NCAA's plan. Smaller schools will now have to scramble for any TV revenue it can find. USFL officials report nearly 53,000 tickets have been sold for Sunday's championship game in Tampa between the Arizona Wranglers and the Philadelphia Stars. Capacity for Tampa Stadium is 73,000. The Boston Celtics made it official Tuesday. Red Auerbach is stepping down as National Football Association team's general manager, but will stay on as club president. And a University of Pennsylvania veterinary pathologist said yesterday a lesion in Swell's heart is the likely cause of the sudden death June 17th of Kentucky Derby and Belmont Stakes winner. In local news here on board the SS Norway for sports, we have a basketball foul shooting scores. In first place, Paul Nadziewicki of Pennsylvania. He took first. Second place was taken by John Claus of New York. And third place by Daniel Lister of Florida. Thank you, and that's all for this evening's sports. Back to Dave for a wrap-up in this evening's news.
All right, thank you very much, Kevin, for the sports report. And it looks like the old All-Star game took the headlines again, as usual. 3-1 for the All-Stars. And that was the National League taking the American League, right?
I hope so. Yes.
You hope so.
I know.